Yeah, Elke, thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I'd like to talk about a big topic which I will focus and limit to mainly to two examples. So the historical events, the use of historical events in written sources for the dating of archaeological sites. And I will present two examples from the Germanic fringe, so from Germania Magna to battlefields. But let's have a look, a more general look on the topic. What is needed for historical dating of archaeological sites? So you need, of course, reliable text sources, and they have to answer when, so they need to have clear chronological information. They have to answer where, the question where. There must be clear information on the localization. They have to tell you what. So a clear description of the site or the very event that you want to use. And of course, using written sources, you have to ask yourself who wrote this text and why did he write this text. That means you have to perform a source critical evaluation of the text and have to ask yourself whether the information in the text is reliable or not, or what do you have to know to evaluate this, to be able to evaluate this. And then, of course, you need archaeology, you need the archaeological evidence that fits to the text information. And again, you have to answer when, so you have to cross-check the dating that is offered by the written sources by other methods. I will go to that point in some details further on. You have to ask where, so the localization information given in the written sources should match the archaeological situation. And you have to answer what, so the site or the event that has been described must be recognizable in your archaeological evidence. So this as the first part of the warm-up. The second part is, so I just go to the mother of historical dating ever, Pompeii. And you will agree to me that Pompeii delivers three different ways that you can use this historical date. The main thing, of course, is the terminus antequem. So the terminus ad quem. So the very event itself, and you have archaeological evidence for that. Human activities during the eruption, the very shape of the city in the moment that the volcano exploded. But you have also information on terminus antequem. So what was before the eruption? Everything that you find in Pompeii must be older or contemporary to the event, of course. And you have you get a terminus postquem. And in Pompeii, in a particular nice situation, because everything is sealed by the volcanic ashes, as you know, and all human activities above the lava, so you've seen this picture here, can also be dated after 79 AD. So this would be the ideal situation. I will focus on two examples which deal with the terminus ad quem. In following. I want to lead you to so the fringe of the Roman Empire in Germania. So two examples from Germany, from Lower Saxony in particular, and two examples that have different dates. The first one is 9 AD or maybe 15 AD. The second one is probably 235 AD. It's both battlefields. You might have heard about the site of Kalkriese, which is an Augustine, a late Augustine battlefield, and the second site, quite recently discovered battlefield from the Hartshorn, west of the Harz Mountains. Kalkriese is inside the Roman Empire at the time, so in Augustine times. It is said that the country up to the river Elbe has been Roman, a province in Statu Nascendi, but at least until to the river Weser, we have to assume that this area has been under Roman control. The opposite is true for the Hartshorn. So in the 3rd century, you have the limes which you see here with all its castles, and it is roughly spoken 10 to 15 marching days away from the Roman Empire. So battlefields, terminus adquem. So we have to emphasize this is Ereignisgeschichte, to use a German term. Sorry if it's not translatable. So the history of events. So we are excavating a very particular event, which is extraordinary. We have, in both cases, we have a description of the event, but we don't have really clear, reliable localization informations. And of course, in battlefield archaeology, you have a problem because it's in general you have later activities on a battlefield ground. So memorial activities, the robbing of the site, which can also have taken place decades or even centuries after the battle has taken place. Both sites have some similarities, which give an insight into the ability, Germanic ability of geostrategic thinking. So you see the site of Kalkriese here, and this is the narrowest possible situation on an interregional route. So this is the mountain area here, difficult to cross. This is a large bog area, and either you take the deviation over here or you pass the Oberesch at Kalkriese. And we have the same situation, roughly spoken, with the Harzhorn. So this is where the Harzhorn lies, and if you see, so coming from northern Germany, going to Hassia and then further down to the Roman province, this is the narrowest place ever. So the Germanic warriors were able to calculate which route must have been taken by the Roman army, and so they had some time in advance to prepare for the attack. So this is, I think, the information we get from this landscape site. So some details on Kalkriese. The excavation shows a wall in the central spot of the battle, so which is interpreted as a Germanic fortification for the attack on the Roman army. You see this here in a recent game. So you see this wall running here, and each of these spots is a Roman find. So it's clear that there has been concentrated activity here. So I don't want to go into further details on the archaeology here, but I want to focus on the discussion on the dating. We have quite a decent written sources on the Varusschlacht, the Varus battle. So to me the most important author is Meyer Petarchulus, because he took part in the battle. So this is a particularly good situation that you have an eyewitness who writes about something that took place. We have Tacitus, who has his very idea of the battle and who has a sort of a political message to give after when he wrote down his description 100 years after the battle. And we have Cassius Dio, who goes in some detail in the description. So they all say that the Varus battle took place 9 AD, and this is the dating which is assumed for the site in Kalkriese. That a Varus battle has taken place is also shown by independent sources like this gravestone from Bonn, from Xanten with Marcus Caelus, who is fallen in the Varianian War. So this is a proof that really something big has taken place. We have the archaeological finds, which give quite a good dating in Augustine time, late Augustine times. So it's a match as far as it is possible with archaeological material. We have a complication in the whole situation, because this Varus battle is not a neutral historical event, but it has a long history of transformation afterwards. So to Germany, this was a major event, especially in the 19th and early 20th century, a national event, the birth of the German nation. And Hermann der Cherusker, so Arminius, the Cheruskian leader, is a figure of a specific heroic figure for Germany, especially in the 19th century. So one of the huge monuments, so the huge monument here from Detmold. And so people longed to find the very battleground of this battle. And so this is a difficult situation, because as soon as this site was known, there was a museum built, there was a marketing concept built up, and it was clear it has to be the Varianian battle, because otherwise the marketing strategy collapses. So this influences scientific research and dating in this case, of course. And then there was a discussion started on the coins. We have quite a lot of coins, and none of the coins is later than 9 AD. So the coins fit perfectly to the dating given by the written sources. So we have these coins with a counter mark, varus, V-A-R, can be read here. So this is perfect. This gives the name of the main Roman officer in charge here. But there has been a discussion which can be focused on one sentence saying, would it be probable that younger coins would have been around if this battle would not have been 9 AD but 15 AD? This is the counter activity of Rome when Germanicus tried to reconquer Germania. So he tried this for 2 years, but then finally they stopped this attempt and left the area to the right of the River Rhine. But so the coinage question is, which coins have been made in the time span between 9 and 15 AD, and would they have come to the Rhine, and would Germanicus have taken these new coins, or would he have used elder coins? And this is a discussion. So me not being numismatically trained, I don't think I'm able to answer it, but the discussion itself is very interesting. And so there is this is why the question marks here occur. So we have two historical events, 9 AD, and lots of good arguments speak for a dating of the battlefield in 9 AD. But we also have an event 15 AD. There are also battles described, and it might even be possible, even though the coins stop at 9 AD, that it is an event which has taken place 6 years later. It is quite interesting that we have some features on the battlefield which seem to offer a solution. The colleagues were able to excavate some pits with human bones in it, and it could be shown that the human bodies must have been lying on the surface for some years before they got into these pits, because they showed bitings from animals. So the body was dissolved. There was not the anatomical structure anymore. And again, there's a written. So there's a report on Germanicus who revisited the battlefield of Varus and who buried the Roman dead. So we don't know who dug this pit and who put the human and also animal bones in this pit, but it might give a hint towards a clearer probability of the dating 9 AD just by including a second historical event and by dating with two different reports of two different events which come together in this one specific site. So the second site I want to talk about shortly is the battlefield of the Hartshorn. So I just show you a variety of the finds made. So it's lots of weapons, lots of projectiles mainly that are found, but it's also personal equipment. It's lots and lots of shoe nails. It is tools of all sorts which were carried by the soldiers. It is parts of the chariots, to be seen here. So it's everything, the whole spectrum that one would expect that an army carries with them. We have some coins, 13 coins in the whole, not too much, but with quite a clear information. So the site is about, so this is about 2.5 kilometers, and each dot stands for a Roman or a Germanic find. And the situation we have that there, so this is the narrow situation, and there's attacks here, and probably several attacks on different on the way of the troops. We have calculated, so if we said, okay, let there be 10,000 Roman soldiers, if this would be true, this would be a 6 kilometers marching column. So we can expect not a point activity, but a linear activity over quite a large space. And we have attacks here, and between this situation and this, we have varying soils which don't give preservation conditions. So these are all surface finds which are just covered with very, very little humus, and this is under plough, so it's agricultural site here, and one would not expect finds, so that we only have sort of windows into a huge activity. It is a battlefield. We can show this, I think, for granted by the information that the projectiles give us. We have one situation where we have a catapult, and so this is of course a new one, a rebuilt one, but these white dots, they show where the catapult projectiles are in the slope. So they are between the stones and everything. They show that they were shot and that they are partly destroyed. So it is clear this is the trace of a Roman shooting in the 3rd century. And we have, for instance, this situation, the spearhead, which was thrown and which is, when we excavated it, it is still within the stones, covered by stones. So in original situation, and also this was bended here when touching the stones. So this is clear evidence for military activity at this very site. So what is the historical event behind this battlefield, or the historical event that might coincide with this battlefield that we found? So in 233, the Germanic warriors attack the Roman Empire, so they cross the Limes in Hessen, and each of these sites shows clear destruction evidence from 233, and they managed to get far into the Roman provinces, and they rob and kill, and finally they return. And this must have been such an enormous event that the emperor at the time, Severus Alexander, returns from the east of the empire, where he is having a campaign, to the river Rhine. So he comes back to Mainz, Mogontiacum, and with him there is an enormous army of 40,000 soldiers. And our main so the text is mainly from Herodian, an antique author which thought was not very reliable by the historians. So they have discussed this report, but have mainly said that maybe it is that there has been a huge military campaign, seemed to be very improbable. But maybe we can show by the means of archaeology that that this is not true. So what the story continues. So the emperor has has this huge army, but he does not attack as his soldiers want, but he starts to negotiate. He tries to pay the Germans and convince them not to attack anymore. And this leads to an uprisal. The emperor is killed, and this guy, Maximinus Thrax, a Roman officer, a very experienced Roman officer, is made emperor by his soldiers themselves. And he does that, what the soldiers expected from him. He raises the payment for soldiers, so he doubles the income of the soldiers. So this is probably a good activity to do. And the second thing is he attacks. So this is what we know. There is different information about how far he goes into Germania. It is either some 40 kilometers or it's 400 kilometers. It's a varying text documents that we have from different times. So these texts have been copied again and again, and somewhere there's a mistake, but we don't know which one is the mistake and which one is the original version. So this is the story, and 235 is the date that we have to check. And so which possibilities do we have? We have, on the one hand, we have the archaeological material. So these scabbard parts are quite well datable, for instance, to the first half of the 3rd century. We have Germanic lance heads, so especially this part is quite has some chronological information. I don't want to go into detail, but we have old ones and new ones, and they match in the first half of the 3rd century with their dating. So roughly spoken, this might fit to this Maximinus Thrax event. In the beginning, we were very uncertain what we had, and so even though this is Roman archaeology, we applied radiocarbon dating, which is very unusual. We have 5 dates in a whole. We have wood from the shafts of the projectiles or from the spearheads preserved in the objects. So we have 3 data from this wood, and we excavated a horse or a mule, and we have 2 data from the horse, and they all more or less overlap in this steep part of the calibration curve, which would be 230, 240. Of course, the calibration range is wider, but the dates also, to be cautious, give a hint towards this time span. And then, luckily, or the colleagues that go on the site for since years with their metal detectors, they were lucky to find this dolabra, this Roman axe, and there's an inscription on it, or 2 inscriptions on it, and maybe you can see the letters here, not very nicely made, but this is not what it has to be. It has to be, one has to be able to read it, and so the guys from the other legion shall see that this is not their axe and they shall not take it. So this is what this inscription is for, and it reports us that the 4th Legion, Flaviae Severianae Alexandriana, took part in this campaign, and this is reflected in the written reports. So it is very, very probable that this legion took part, so we get an information from a written information, but it's a completely different way that this information took until it ended up on our desks and in our computers. And then we have in the whole 3 gravestones, which give a slightly idea of that the battle really has taken place. So this is the gravestone to the memory of Biriban, the son of Abseus, an officer in the ala firma Cataphractaria, so a horse rider's ala, of course, lost in war from the province of Mesopotamia and the city of, and then we can't read it anymore. The 2 informations in here is that there is an ala firma Cataphractaria. We have also sources that they have taken part in the campaign. There is no other report on such an ala in a campaign in Germania at all. And we have the information that you remember Severus Alexander, who brought with him this huge army. So he brought with him troops from Mesopotamia. So there were Mesopotamian Roman soldiers taking part in the campaign of Maximinus Thrax. So again, from another perspective, this is additional information on which we can use for the reliability of the written source. So 235 AD. We have the written sources, Herodian and the Historia Augusta. So the report itself is confirmed by these gravestones, which give us a hint that there really has been a campaign. We have the inscription on the Dolabra, which shows us that one of the legions that has taken part, according to the authors, really was at the site. We have the traditional archaeological dating of the finds, which is no contradiction, but which fits quite well. And so we have the coins, 13 in the whole, starting with Commodus, so something which is some decades older, but ending with 5 coins of Severus Alexander, the last emperor. We are happy that we don't have any Maximinus Thrax coins with it, because these coins probably were not ready when he started his campaign. So he used the money that was available at the time. And so also the coins give us quite a good hint that it is this Maximinus Thrax campaign. And in addition, we have scientific dating, which as well can be points towards this time span. So this is the kaleidoscope of dating evidence, and to me it is very important that these informations come from different sources, though they are independent from each other. And this is something to me that is very important when applying historical data, that you can check it with datings that have a completely different methodology. So not to get into vicious circles, but to have information that comes from outside. Okay, summing up. If we compare the Hartshorn and Kalkriese, so we have the description of the historical event, and not really sure, but as an idea, Kalkriese might be a bit more precisely dating when including the second historical event and the evidence that this second event might have left. We have the informations of the coins, which seems pretty reliable at the Hartshorn, which have yielded a big discussion at Kalkriese, a discussion e silentio, so a discussion about the absence of coins, which always is difficult, but which in itself, of course, is a very interesting discussion. We have the archaeological dating, not very precisely, but a complete match, so that fits pretty well. And we have the scientific dating and the inscriptions at the Hartshorn. So if we can fill this with dark color, then the Kalkriese question would be finally solved. So hopefully the colleagues will be lucky there as well. So 3 points to end with. So I think independent dating sources improve the degree of probability. I think we can't prove. So we can prove in Pompeii, but we will never be able to prove. But we can increase the degree of probability for the application of the historical data and the historical reports on the very archaeological site. The historical descriptions can be used for dating even if no clear localization is given. So we have information on what the Varusschlacht area looked like. It doesn't fit to the Kalkriese area, but we also see that this is a kind of a topos that is described. It is something that you find also in other descriptions in other cultures, other areas, other periods for battles. So this can't be taken for granted as a detailed description of a very landscape that really exists. And due to the missing localization informations, it remains unclear which role the battles on the excavated battlefields played in the wars or in the campaigns. So we are quite convinced at the Hartshorn that this is, belongs to the Maximinus Thrax campaign, but we cannot tell was this the only battle, was this the first battle, the last battle. We can, all these things we can only judge by interpreting the archaeological evidence. Thanks very much.